Yo, what is up? We are live. I do like this guitar. What's up, Ben, Nick, Zach, Electro Mega, Hit Metalworks, Bird, David, Martian, Retro, Billy, Green Renee, Fretless Head, Deanna, Ben Coombs, Symmetry. I learned how to pronounce it. Rob, Mike, Hit Metalworks, Darren, Patrick Z, Dan Smith, Matt, Yeti Motzi, Vince, Retro, Speako, what's up, dude? John, Ed, Gary, Joe, Electro Omega, I think I said it already, Knees Hurt, Shape, Kevin, Zoot, Jim, Herb, Double R Guitar, John Banks. We got all the regulars here, all the usual suspects. They got the select out. What's up, Rob? What's up, Tony? Oh God, I hurt my wrist last weekend on Sunday. I had a nut driver on a pretty powerful screw drill. You know, it's got a couple of settings, fast and slow. I had it on slow, which is the power one. And, man, it wrenched my friggin' wrist. So radial, just a radial wrench. I mean, you couldn't let go of it fast enough. And, oh my God, it got me. It really got me. 19 millimeter bolt. Working in a piece of wood. Oh God, it nailed me. Damn it. That hurts. Sun came out for a little bit here. It's been sunny. It's been on and off, but we've officially gotten into the soup of summer. So there's so much friggin' humidity in the air that, and on any day, the sun can just fire up storms, right? That's pretty much our summer. Like literally, it's the same weather forecast for the next 14 days, which is 80 to 90% chance of thunderstorms late day. Like that's pretty much our summer. I haven't played a lot this week because of it. I was having trouble just even like picking things up and moving things around, picking things up and putting things down. It's hurting my wrist. I was like, oh my God. Doing a little bit of yard work. I had to push the mower with this arm. Jesus. It really got me. I didn't realize how bad it was, but geez, you could see it got worse like the next day, like anything. And it's only just starting to get a little better now. In fact, I took my watch off because I felt like it was restricting it. Give it a little bit of movement. Yeah, radial, like one of those things where you're like, and you're like, oh my God. It's completely twisted my friggin', and it's really right at the wrist. It's right at the damn wrist. No, it got me. It got me. I don't have to tweak necks, at least for right now. But we're in the soup. It showed up. It's finally here. 3 weeks ago, the dew point was in the 40s, and now it's in the 60s, and staying there for the foreseeable future into the 70s. That's gross. Rotate heat, nice. Little ibuprofen. I do think, Patrick. I did take a little ibuprofen one of the days. Probably like the day closest to the injury, just to try to reduce the inflammation a little bit. It really. I probably had stuff I had to do, and I'm like, you better get that. You better numb that wrist up. You got shit to get done. I working on the trailer when I did it? No, I was just drilling something into the wall, and I should have had it on the drill. The thing is that it was so hard to drill into the wall that if you put it on the screw method, even at 24 pounds, it was just, it's not going to go. Right? You got to hold this thing, get it in. It got to the very end, and it just got me. Should have just took it off at the, that far out, and did the last, mile, so to speak, with the ratchet. But I was like, oh, no, you got this. My wrist. My doctor said I'm not supposed to rotate it. It feels out. Your air conditioner isn't working. Ours is working really good. I'm pretty happy about it. In fact, I went out. I was out there today, and it's so quiet. God, when it's working great, it's working great. I went out. It's like a brand new. It's like when the first couple of years I had it. Very quiet and working great, and never really recovered from that dummy's work. And I guess that was 2018. Was that 2019? 2018, 2019? And never quite recovered until I worked on it. Yeah, it's working great. So-called, you're under a blanket. Are you in the southern hemisphere? Are you down in are you in cold country? Are you down in down under? When someone asks a question, do you say question? Yeah, Long Island, get the AC cranking too. Yeah, no, we're getting there. Soon we'll be on the Tropical Express, right? A high over Bermuda, rotating clockwise. A low out over the middle of the country, rotating counterclockwise. And then just dragging air from like literally south of the Caribbean up to like northern Canada. And we're right in between it. Oh, thank you, Tony. Steve's Painkiller Herbage Fund. Yeah, unless you're still off the green. You know what? I'm 99% off. Yeah, I tell you, it's been a depressing week. So between the change in weather, the crappy weather, and did I buy anything during GatorFest? I did not. I didn't. Kind of bummed that I wasn't invited. I mean, I literally know everybody else there. I was like, damn. I guess my invitation got lost. I should turn my AC up in case it being too cold. Yeah, I tell you, it's that time of year. We finally switched over. It takes a while for someone to get going here. It depends on the year. Sometimes we just switch from winter to summer, it seems, in like 3 weeks. But it took a while for someone to show up. We were kind of cool and moist this spring. Cool, moist spring. And we're still relatively cool. We haven't really had too many crazy days like up in the 90s, maybe 2 or 3. So far, I feel like it's been, from my other friends in Boston, would you agree? I think we've been kind of relatively on the cold side. I mean, for the end of June. I didn't even have a chance to dazzle them with my riffs. I know, they don't even know. I got the best tone, man. Come on. It's got to count for something. What's up, Papa Blue? Hey, what's up, Jamal? Good to see you. And Terry 3Gs. We made you track the Volus. They hadn't shipped yet. I was like, oh. I keep sending gifs of cats, depressed cats to them, like UPS truck just drove by again. And there's like some cat like sitting like depressed in the corner. I think I'm guilting them. We'll see. Yeah, the orange ham sounds good, right? Oh, God, my wrist. Getting wristy with it. Oh, what's up, John? Yeah, you know why they look invisible next to the fretboard? You know what? They need to be changed. This needs a new set of strings. At this point, they're so black that light cannot escape its surface. And therefore, they become invisible. Now, they admitted it needs new strings. Needs new strings. I could have done it today, but I didn't get around to it. But yeah. Oh, they're pretty dark, and I can feel it's got the fret. It's got the fret divots on the back of the D string. That's a sure sign. Yeah, even the A string's got a little bit. Exactly, the events horizon. Black hole strings. Exactly, Ron. Not bound. Channeled. It's channeled. Because, you know, select is select. It's select, biatch. It's got all the flames and all the birds. And of course the select badge in the back that says it's select, biatch. A little sandpaper on the string beds, yeah. How's the trailer project going? Good. Not really any work on it this week, though. Because it's just been one of those weeks where you don't really know what days are going to be raining, and it's like chance of rain every day, and it's scattered thunderstorms, and you don't know when it's showing up. We're officially in the rainy season. You know? It's just, it'll turn dry. Usually by the end of July and pretty much most of August, there's like no rain at all. In fact, September, I think, is one of the driest months of the year. So we'll see. But right now, we're almost in a constant, you know, it's like thunderstorms every friggin' day. Yeah, like literally 70% chance of storms, thunderstorms, 80% chance of storms, 50% chance of storms, and then it's 50% there on out, which pretty much means they have no idea. It's like 50-50. Here's your choices. It's either going to rain or it's not going to rain. That's why they make the big bucks. Oh, Deanna, welcome. All right, we have to do the welcome. There we go. Gotta get it right. A little lower. Yeah, there you go. Like around there. So you've decided to throw your life away. Welcome to Cool Bro. A badge of disgrace? Shame. Shame. A badge of shame. And there you go. And now you can use the new emojis. What is it? Is it colon or semicolon? I think it's colon and then SFB, and then they all show up. Welcome. A moment of weakness, yeah. I don't blame you. We've all been there. Explain the bell tone. Yeah, you got to cross the strings. You don't hit a harmonic. You just pluck them. You just got to cross them, and then pluck them. The higher you do it, the higher the bell tone. The lower you do it, the lower the bell tone. Don't go crapping out on me there. To do the elephant, I need a Floyd Rose. Hold on. The elephant sound, hold on. You need a Floyd Rose. It doesn't really work without it. It's sort of based on the fact that if you lower the strings to a certain position, they all get in tune with each other. Right? Because the elephant sound sort of starts out like sort of slightly in tune with each other, and then it moves massively out of tune with each other, and then it tries to get back in tune with each other. It's kind of weird. You know. All right. So so you'd have to go. Like that, right? Yeah, hit harmonic there, harmonic there, harmonic there. Get them to about in tune, then out of tune, and then back in tune again. All right. Something like that. Something on those lines. How do you cross the strings? What does that even mean? I'll show you. You see this? You see these two strings? Watch this. See that? Now the D string is down there. You see that? I'm crossing the string. Crossing them. This is the D string, and that's the G string. They're in reverse order now because I just crossed them. See that? You cross the strings. Crossed. Right there. So the harmonics to start out with. Hold on. G. Right? It's kind of like that. You can't. And of course, you got to work the volume knob. Exactly. I'm gonna round up the elephant herd. Nelson, you were saying that there's new logos, hand logos at the end of the name. There are 2 new color categories depending on how long you've been a member. So you've probably just triggered into the next. That's what I got to think. Boy, that really hurt right there. Just like that. It's the side to side, like right here. That's really where that's nasty. That's hurting. That is hurting. Oh God, that hurts. Why is it hurting? I wrenched it with a screw gun. It just twisted. It's like a radial sprain. Yeah, the Flag Day album's almost done. Oh yeah, welcome back, Sassy Cat. Might as well give you the full-on welcome. You got out. But then we dragged you back in. Shame. Shame. Oh, what's up, Daryl? I got lots of Hoofschmidt picks. I don't really use Hoofschmidt picks. They're too nice. I don't want to scratch them. I know that sounds bizarre, but it's true. Oh God, my arm. Yeah. There's one of them. Here's a Hoofschmidt. And another. He's got a bunch of new ones up there. You been buying anything lately, Gary? I've been wanting to, but I just haven't had the cash this year. I like it when he does, like, that was a one-off. I like it when he does, like, the one-offs. You know? They are nice. And I do like them. I just don't want to... I don't want to ruin them. I have them mostly in a display case. Some Salon Pass patches. I think just a little bit of Advil and maybe a little bit of Demerol, and I'll be good. And 8 beers, exactly, and 8 beers. Oh yeah, you're right. I bet they do skip across the water well. All right, it's 7:28. We should get into the story because this story is probably going to take a good 90 minutes to tell. It is the 20th anniversary of the breaking of my leg. That's probably another reason why I'm having just a crap. Every time, this time of year, every year, just completely depressing. Probably because of that. I got to think that that's it. Although I tend not to like hot and humid weather, so it's just a double whammy. It's the unfortunately I don't have a lot of photographs. I had a massive photograph loss years ago where I had a lot of photographs on a removable drive, when you would plug a hard drive in through USB, and that fell off my bench onto a concrete floor and was absolutely dead, and I lost 2 terabytes worth of info. So no, I've had some data loss. So unfortunately, I don't really have. I had photographs of me in the hospital. I had photographs of the whole hotel and on the trip. All the photographs we were taking on the trip. I had photographs of everything, the hospital bed, and so much stuff, and all gone. So unfortunately, I don't really have a lot of. I don't have a lot of photographs, but let me take you back to January of 2003, the before period. January of 2003. Now, keep in mind that I haven't had good luck with flights. My flight, sort of prior to that, was the flight where we were supposed to be on one of the 9/11 flights, but we changed it and we were on the evening flight, which got canceled because of 9/11. But that's another story. But I was going to be on, I think it was a Delta flight or a United flight. I forget American. I forget who it was, but we almost took that flight. We were almost on that 9/11 flight that crashed on the tower. But we skipped it. My wife did lose her gym teacher on it, though. But anyway, It's January of 2003. And my wife calls me up, and she's got, we don't have kids. We're married. Recently married. We've been married about, I don't know, 5 months. And starting on January 1, I get on my new wife's health care. That will be important later in the story. So now I'm on my wife's health care through work because we're married. And I get a call from my wife, and she says, I have some, like, good news and maybe bad news. I don't know what's up. But I won Employee of the Year. And the company has been acquired. So it was like, oh, yeah, we got sold, but I made Employee of the Year. Okay, all right. So what does that mean? She goes, it means that we get an all-expense paid trip to Costa Rica. I'm like, cool. And so she goes, so you need a passport. We go in like a couple of weeks. You have to get like a really fast passport for this travel. So I had to go downtown. I had to go through this big process to very quickly. I had to pay this extra fee to get a passport processed very quickly. I had to go get all the stuff that you need for a passport. It was a big pain in the ass, but I got it. I got the passport. And we're booked to go to Costa Rica. And of course, I don't know anything about Costa Rica. So I'm watching the opening scene to Jurassic Park, assuming that that's what Costa Rica is going to look like. Of course it doesn't, but, you know, it's a movie. What's up, Jay Shaft? So, exactly, the insurance company. I'm literally part of their training manual now. So, we find out we're going to Costa Rica, and they're going to send a car for us. You know, it's everything, all expenses paid. And the trip out, and remember, this is post 9/11, and we should have just went like at 2 a.m., but we ordered the car, and I don't know why we did this, guy. I think we thought there'd be no traffic. We ordered the car for 4 a.m., which is ridiculous. We should have ordered it for at least 3 a.m., but we don't. We ordered it for 4 a.m. And the guy's out there. The guy is out there at like 10 minutes of 4. And the night before, they're like, yeah, it's going to rain overnight. No big deal. Just a little bit of rain. You know, nothing to worry about. We get out there, and it is snowing. And I mean snowing hard. There's already like 4 inches of snow on the ground. I'm like, oh my God. And the guy, they got a town car there to pick us up, which is, not going to lie, pretty sweet. And our flight is at 6 a.m. or 6:30. Might have been 6 a.m. And we figured we would get in there by 4:30. We would be there 2 hours ahead. I think the flight was 6:30. And this guy cannot drive fast. He is driving like 20 miles an hour on the highway, and we are just dying. We're going, oh my God, we are never going to make it there. We get there at 5:30, and we get to the counter, and she's like, there's no way we're letting you on that flight. And I'm like, oh, come on. She's like, nope. You're way too late for this. You can't go through security quickly enough. So I'm like, okay, when is the next flight to Costa Rica? 4 days later. 4 days. They have us booked at this resort hotel They have us booked at doing all of these, like, daily activities. There's no going there 4 days later. Like, you'd literally miss the whole thing. So it's this woman, Diane, from Delta, at the counter. And Diane is working hard. Diane is calling people. Diane's super nice. She's calling people. She's trying to figure it out. She's trying to get us on there. There's no way they're letting us on. So she's trying to find us a flight. And it takes a little bit. But eventually, she said, there is a flight going to San Jose through El Salvador. And it's on, is it Sanza, right? Which is out of Sao Paulo, right? So but we have to get all the way down to like international. Remember, back then, you could fly Delta out of Delta. You didn't have to go to the international terminal. It was crazy. But now, none of that. Right now, it's all changed, right? So anyway, we have to walk all the way down to international. We get down there, and we get through, and the next thing you know, we are on this flight to San Jose. But it's much later, much later in the day. Remember, this is like the first week in February. I think it's the first week in February, right? Second week in February, first week in February. So, we're running so late. We got to stop in El Salvador at San Salvador Airport to dump people, right? Is a change up. So we get to the El Salvadoran airport, and we're starting to go in, and we're circling a little bit. I thought we might be doing a corkscrew approach, like you can't go straight in, but apparently that's not the case. Maybe we were just stuck waiting for a lane to open up. But as I'm looking down out of the plane, it appears that the runway is on fire, right? And I'm like, this trip is killing me. So we land in the airport, and the entire next to the airport is like in flames. And I said to one of the flight attendants, I'm like, what's up with the fire? They're like, oh, the jungle will grow over the airport, and you can't really go in there and cut it. There's too many animals, too many snakes, poisonous. They're like it. They just burn it. They just burn it back, and that'll keep it back for quite a while. I was like, oh, okay. Like, all right, I guess that makes sense. We don't get off the plane. We literally sit on the plane. A bunch of people get off. A bunch of new people get on. And we taxi back down the runway. It's like almost nothing for a layover. Might have been a 20-minute layover. 10 minutes to get people off. Or a 30-minute layover. 15 minutes to get people off. 15 minutes to get the new people on and seated. And we were on our way. It was great. Now we land in San Jose in Costa Rica, and it's late in the day. How we're supposed to get to the hotel is by plane. A little Cessna, like a little prop plane, is supposed to take you over, right? What they call a puddle jumper. But you're not landing at an airport at the other end. You're landing at an airstrip. And it was too late in the day. It would be too dark. They wouldn't be able to land the plane. They wouldn't be able to take back off again because there's no lights. It's it's like cut out, like in the jungle, like down by where we're going, right? Which is in Guanacaste. So if anybody knows in Costa Rica, I'm at the San Jose airport, and I got to go to Guanacaste. Do you understand what I'm saying here? So San Jose, Guanacaste. So we go to somebody to like get on the flight, and the flight guy's like, no. And I said, well, we'll get a taxi. He goes, oh, I can get you a taxi. I'm like, oh, yeah? Yeah, he goes, oh, yeah, no. And he gets on the phone. He goes, oh, I got a taxi for you. We're like, oh, great. And we start following him, like, through. And he walks, like, right past the taxi area. Like, where you going? He's like, oh, it's out here. As we get closer and closer, there's all these signs. Stop. Turn back. Do not go out here. Do not get a taxi out here. Warning. Unsafe. And I'm going like, what are we doing? Why are we following this guy? But we wind up following this friggin' guy, and the next thing you know, we're outside the airport, and there's no getting back in. And I'm like, oh my God. And this guy pulls up in a Chevette. And he doesn't really speak English. All right. He looks like, one of the characters from Something About Mary, the dude who always wore the wife beater shirt there. And we get in. We get in the back of the car. They load us our stuff up. We start to drive away, and he pulls off into like this big drainage ditch. Like this, like nowhere's land, and I go, "Oh, I'm gonna have to choke this fucking guy out." I'm like really. My wife is not conscious of what's going on. I'm going, "This is dangerous. This is just taking a dangerous turn." All right, and I'm looking around for like, how am I? I'm strategizing already about this guy. I'm already losing. I'm thinking about like punching him right off the side of his face and see if I can knock him out and get him out of the car, right? I'm doing like all this. I am like losing it. And he points to a ring on his finger, and he goes like, mi familia. And my wife goes, he wants to get his girlfriend. And I'm like, oh, because it's a long drive. It's the equivalent of we flew into Philly, and our hotel is in Boston. So we have to, it's a 6-hour drive to the hotel. And he doesn't want to drive back by himself. He wants his girlfriend to go with him. So exactly the old I want the girlfriend trick. So we go like downtown. He's on the phone with her. We go to like downtown San Jose, and she comes walking out of this place. She's got a huge rack with big cleavage, and she's got the big hoopy earring. She's like J-Lo, and she's chewing the gum, Hola! And, I gotta admit, she was a bit of eye candy. It was a lot better to look at than he was. And I was like, okay, all right, this isn't so bad. And we start driving. And the sun is going down, and like an idiot, I left my camera in the back. I didn't really get any photos. What an incredible, because we're going up on the side of these mountains, and you can just see I was like, oh my God, why don't I have my camera with me, And we're driving down the Trans-America Highway, and it is unbelievable. Just in the middle of nowhere. You've been driving for 30 minutes, and then all of a sudden there's a bar, and there's a lot of cars in the front, and then another 30 minutes of nothing. It's like we are out in the middle of nowhere. And so we are going and going and going 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. Now you got to remember, to get on this flight, we had to pay this out of pocket, right? They already bought that Delta flight. And the Delta woman said, you have 24 hours to move that flight that was already paid for by your company to something else. And we said, okay, 24 hours, you get 24 hours. So we're down, and we get to the end. We finally get to like Liberia, which for the first time in like literally 4 hours, you're seeing like street lights and, there was a KFC. I was like, oh my God, signs of life, Toyota dealership. And we still have like another 90 minutes to 2 hours to go, And in the very end, we were going through this thick jungle. Oh my God. Just the trees were like hypnotizing me because you're just going through mile after mile. And the road is cleared out, but oh my God. Finally, we make it. It's a gated hotel. And we make it to the hotel, and I gave the guy $170 for the ride in cash. He said something. He goes, $250. I go, $150. He goes, 170. I said, all right, I'll give you 170. $250. Fuck off. So, to their credit, they played a lot of Creedence Clearwater Revival. My wife can't even listen to any CCR without thinking of that ridiculously long car drive in a back of a Chevette. I swear to God, I thought that the car was going to break down multiple times. And like, we are not. I was shocked we made it all the way there. It was absolutely, in US dollars. Got to remember, it was a 6-hour taxi ride. And he's got to ride 6 hours back. He's got a 12-hour total ride. I thought 170 was fair. No. It was real. It was real CCR. He had a bunch of CCR tapes. We were listening to CCR. The first thing that dude did was run right into the hotel and convert those American dollars to local money because he knew there was no working that. He had to deal with, you know what I'm saying? He did an instant conversion for like half of that loot, or a good third of it, just so like he would have local dollars to work his way back. He probably had to get gas on the way back and all this stuff. Oh no, Chevettes are tiny. Dude, this thing is tiny. So we finally get there. I do have some photos from when we're finally there. So the first morning we're there, so that's Sunday. Sunday night, now it's Sunday night, it's like 10 p.m. We have 24 hours, right? We only have like about maybe 7 or 8 more hours before we get to the flight time. You have 24 hours from the prior flight time to schedule a new flight. So we call Delta. And they're like, what do you want to do? Where do you want to, my wife's on the phone with them. Where do you want to go? And I'm going, Vegas, baby. She goes, Vegas? And they're like, no, they're international. It's an international flight. It has to be another international flight. We were like, oh, I didn't know that. We had a friend who was getting married in Ireland. That's what we should have done. How many times since then we've said to each other, we should have just went to that wedding in Ireland. But no. Well, what international flight can we get for the price that they paid? Because there was a cancellation fee and a transfer fee. What would be an even swap? And she goes, Bermuda. Okay. All right. Put us down for Bermuda. And I was telling you we should have went to Ireland instead, but it would have been, we would have had to thrown in like 500 or $1,000, and we would have gone to Ireland and had a wonderful time. It would have been gorgeous, but no. We're going to Bermuda. We're going to go to Bermuda. Okay, all right. So that night we finally go to sleep. We actually had to call. We were starving. Called room service. Had room service sent up. Got some wonderful food, and then went to sleep. And the next morning we go out for our weekly. This is the crap now we're going to do all week, right? They literally have us booked on stuff the entire week, and this is that week. This is the week in Costa Rica. Wrong one. Where am I looking? I'm looking there. Right. So we go out for a trip in the morning, and the first thing we do is we come across a bunch of howler monkeys, and I was able to get this shot of a howler monkey, and they're loud, man. You can tell it's the winter too. You can tell it's February because there's not a ton of leaves on the tree. Right. Here we are. The guy's giving us the, on this side of the road, that side of the road. There's our guide up front with the microphone. And we're just working our way through. Volcanoes in the background, a lot of volcanoes, a lot of very typical, I guess that's the closest it looked. You could see how high the hills get in the back. We're working our way up to, it's so funny because when we left it was like 90 degrees out, but now we're getting higher. It's getting like 80 degrees, then it's like 75 degrees, then it's like 70 degrees. We stop here. I forget if that was a cashew tree or a coffee tree or vine. I forget, but he was getting like coffee beans and cashew beans and bringing them on and showing them to us, stealing them out of people's well, it felt like he was stealing them out of people's yards. So now we're up on the hill. Was it coffee? Was it cocoa plants? Yeah. Now we're way up, and doing a walk, and this was like this little rest area in there. I'm just gonna say that shower arrangement was. This is not where we stayed. Our hotel was gorgeous, but this was like up on the side of the volcano, the rainforest that we went to, like out in the middle of nowhere. I was like, that is not instilling me with confidence right there. And I'm sure it's 240 volts. So now we're doing our little rainforest walk. We're doing a rainforest walk through the rainforest. It's a cutter ant, the cutter ants. That's our guide going through. It's like an ant. There's something in there. Flower. Big giant ass trees, enormous. Not quite as big as the stuff we get in Cali, but it's pretty big. It's pretty big. This was the scariest shit. You can tell I'm all alone because I've let everyone go over before me to test it. I did not want to cross this goddamn bridge. Those floorboards are hardwood, and hardwoods crack when you step on them. So I'm walking across this thing, and it's going crack, 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 and I'm going, for Christ's sakes. I'm like losing my shit. Oh God, anthill, right? Ants. Now we're back, and then we back out. Yeah, flowers. Again, it's a little bizarre because you're in the middle of February, and it was just bizarre to see flowers. It's like, we just came. They're having a massive snowstorm back home. It's like literally. Back to the hotel, golf course. That was our villa, which was gorgeous. I mean, they really hooked us up with this. That's the beach outside. There's the inside of the villa. It was nice. It was real nice. Hooked us up. This is the second day. I think we're on a little shopping tour. I think we're going to head out to Liberia. Yeah. God, they burn so much down there. They clear the fields by burning. It seems to be a thing. A lot of burning. And then fruit stands, And the one thing you're going to see in every town is a soccer field, a rodeo, and a church. That pretty much is what constitutes a town. Do you have a soccer field? Yeah. Do you have a church? Uh-huh. Do you have a rodeo? Uh-huh. You're a town. There I am, God. As you can see, I haven't changed a bit. I'm pretty sure that's with my Nikon Cool Pics. You know, what's the info? Broken leg, Costa Rica, 27. Oh, uploaded from Nikon E990, February 4th, 2003. There you go. Downtown Liberia. Photos off the bus. That's a little local restaurant. They actually got quite busy later on. We drove by them later, and they had some tables going. I did a zip line tour. You guys ever do the zip lines? You know? I thought it was just one leg, and then like an hour later and like 15 zip legs, I was like, oh my God. Get me off this crazy thing, zip lining. Yeah. Good food at the end though. That nice little place there. Yeah, there it is. That's the final sort of. This was a day after that. We went to this like spa. I guess this was either Wednesday. Was it Wednesday or Thursday? It might have been Wednesday. We went to this thing. It was crazy. You go out and they get a horse, and of course, when they're picking the horse for me, they literally grab the biggest friggin' horse there. I'm like, what are you telling me, guys? Yeah. So we're getting on horses and we're riding out into the middle of the friggin' forest. And you come up to these lockers, like literally out in the middle, and you can change out here out in the middle. This like it was pretty crazy. On the ride back, if you didn't want to take a horse, they actually brought a cart, like a tram, to take everybody back if you didn't want to ride the horse back. They had like a steam room. This is in the middle of friggin' nowhere. So how do they get steam in the steam room? It's geothermal. It was all geothermal. And there you go. You get the mud bath, right? There's the boiling mud. You wouldn't want to put your hand in that. That would hurt. And then they had a stream out there you could like shower off. And then again, in the middle of friggin' nowhere, using geothermal energy, they had these like spa pools. And the first one was too hot. You weren't allowed to go in it. And then that would fall into a waterfall into this big one where it would cool off. And it'd be much easier, much more comfortable to get in, but really still pretty damn hot. And the closer you got to that waterfall, man, it got hot. They were like, don't get too close. You could really scald yourself. And then the last pool was much colder because it fell down another waterfall into that one. And each time it falls to another one, right, it cools off and cools off. So it was pretty crazy. Again, in the middle of friggin' nowhere. All using geothermal. And then the next day we go to, this was like a boat ride. I want to say this is Thursday. Yeah, that one was Wednesday. This is Thursday. We're taking the relaxing riverboat ride. And just heading down the river. You got your Crocs. That's some sort of bird. That's some sort of lizard, iguana. Bats. In fact, one night outside our hotel room, we must have had 100 of these friggin' fruit bats, like just hanging out on the side. That is actually tough to see. Again, the old camera tech, today it would look awesome, but that's a spoonbill. I don't know what's up with down in Costa Rica, but they you don't get buried unless you're broke. It's mausoleums. The amount of mausoleums is just insane. Everybody gets a mausoleum, unless you're broke. More food, plantains, tilapia, con leche. That's how they brew your coffee. And, you know, rodeos. This is the last day we're hanging out at the pool. The last day. Oh, you know, it's a good time had by all. It was pretty enormous friggin' pool, and they had the band. I think I caught this guy a little off guard. And that's it. And then we get out to the same thing. When you get to the end, they have all these signs like, don't buy anything out here, don't take a sunset cruise with anybody, don't do anything. You go through the hotel, do not trust anybody out here, because everybody's selling crap. It's a public beach and they can't stop people from selling crap. See this on the ground, right? They're just everywhere. And then there's the beach. This is Playa Conchal, which basically means shell beach. And if you look closely, the beach is literally made up of crushed shells. It's all crushed shell. Makes up the whole beach. And that's pretty much that must have been stuck on a camera, because that survived the great, that survived the great hard drive fall. So I had those photos, and yeah, exactly, dirty sock coffee. And so we finished the week up, and now we have to get back. But now, of course, we're there, and we have a flight back on the Cessna, on the little prop plane. Scary. I think it held 16 people, maybe 20 people. I think 16, eight people aside. All right, had like 4 rows of 2, and plus the pilot up front. And so we're waiting down for them to show up, and one of the manager, one of the directors there, this guy, he's hot shit. He goes, have you seen the Admiral's Lounge? And it's just like sink on the side of a building, and it's full of bees. Like there's a bee's nest in it, a wasp nest. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, wow, this plane comes down and lands. I'm like, ay, look at this stupid thing. Of course, they take one look at me. They take the 2 fattest guys, me and this other guy. They stick us directly over the wing, right? Bounce the plane out. They weighed us. They weighed all our bags. We had to go on a scale. And they move everything with the heaviest stuff in the center and the lightest stuff at the edge. I'm like, you're not filling me with confidence in this flight. And the pilot was like, wait, I need my girlfriend. So we get, center of gravity is important, exactly. So we finally get there. We taxi down the very end of this, and I'm telling you, it's an air strip, okay? It's paved, all right? But that's all you got, right? It's paved, and you better get that thing in the air before you get to the end. And, of course, now you've got it loaded with people. So we get down to the end, and he turns around, and he faces it down the end, and he basically, I'm watching him. He puts one foot on the brake and revs it up. And then, boom, he pops the brake. And we take running off down the highway, down the runway. And we're getting to that end. I'm like, oh, my God. And we pull up. I'm like, holy Christ. I'll take my chances with the Chevette. And I was like, okay. He basically did a brake stand, right? And then pulled off of it. So I'm like, okay. And we start coming into San Jose Airport, and we are hitting turbulence. This freaking plane, woo! And the big planes, I guess you don't notice this thing. We are bouncing around. I'm like, ay. Why, God, why? And we're trying to land. Like, oh, for Christ's sakes! I'm not good. I'm not good with the tiny little prop plane. So we get it. We get our flight back. Meanwhile, back in Boston, they're digging out from 2 feet of friggin' snow, right? But they got it clear. They got it clear by the time we get back. So we get back, and now we have tickets to Bermuda. Our magical Costa Rican trip is over, and now we have a trip planned unexpectedly to Bermuda. And so we already have the flight. We wind up booking the hotel through Costco. It was a really, really good hotel, actually. This really nice hotel on the South Beach. And I think they've actually completely changed it. That was 20 years ago. I think it's a whole new hotel now. But it used to have this enormous, glass dome in the front. And you can sort of see where that used to be. But they don't have that there any longer on the new hotel. They changed the whole vibe of the hotel. But anyway, we wind up taking we're going to go down in between Costa Rica and Bermuda sometime, and I want to say in March or April, late March, early April, we find out my wife is pregnant. So, again, I don't know what we were thinking when we were in Bermuda, but that was even one more reason not to be stupid. So we get down to, it comes up to the day. Now, we had very limited window we could go for this thing. We're going on the 19th of June, right? The summer solstice is the 21st, so it's kind of going to be hot. It's going to be really hot. And so we go down, we head down on the 19th, and we get down there. That's on I want to say a Thursday. Thursday night. We're going to be there Friday, Saturday, and I think we fly back either Sunday or Monday. And we get down there, and I realize I didn't bring a bathing suit. And my wife was like, I can't believe you came to a resort hotel on the beach of Bermuda and you didn't bring a bathing suit. I'm like, yeah, I guess I kind of forgot. So we wind up taking a cab, which already should have been an indicator, not to rent mopeds, because, they drive on the left side of the road, and it's, a maze of all these little single file streets. And it was just like, he brings us to the only sort of clothing store on the friggin' island. And sure enough, they had a bathing suit that fit me. I couldn't believe it. They had all sizes. I got a bathing suit. I was like, awesome. But it cost me $50, but I bought the friggin' bathing suit. I'm like, okay, got a bathing suit. So we get back to the hotel when we go for a dinner. Pretty much all we did for the first day was fly down there, drive and get a bathing suit. And now we're going to a buffet. And then the table right next to our buffet was this family with it felt like 40 kids. It was probably 3, but it felt like 40. And it was so loud, and we were just having a miserable time. I'm already angry I don't have the bathing suit. already angry. We have to go take this trip and spend that money. Got the kids next to us screaming. It's like, it is not going well. This whole vacation, it's hot, it's muggy. Okay, so the next morning we get up and we have a little breakfast, and it's like, what do you want to do? And we could have done a bunch of stuff. Well, we can go down the beach. I went and got that stupid bathing suit. And it was like, no, we could do a glass bottom boat ride. I'm like, oh, that could be interesting. You go around shallow, like, reef areas. Like, or we could go, like, rent mopeds and drive around the island like idiots. Like dummies. We go for the latter. Oh, let's go rent scooters. So we go up, and they make you drive it around a little bit. And, of course, I drive around like nothing. I had mini bikes, and, I can drive a, scooter, no problem. But they have us go through, and, of course, you have to sign this big waiver of liability. But on top of that, I took, like, all this extra insurance, like, against other people's property and damage to the bike. It was, like, extra money, but we're like, we'll just get it, whatever, just in case. And we set off. We head down. It's kind of hilly. We head down this first hill. And I can tell already, I'm so heavy, I probably exceed the weight limit on this friggin' bike. I go down this hill. I am like whining out the engine. Like, right? Because it can't keep up with gravity pulling me down that friggin' hill. That was already an indicator. Right? Then probably... This is probably not going to go well. And we get down to the bottom of the first big hill. And I remember telling my wife, we got to be careful here. This feels like this feels like this free vacation, the money this free vacation cost us. Already we're out the thousands of dollars we had to pay. I want to say we had to pay, I want to say it was like $1,800 or $2,200. I think it was $2,200 for those tickets to get us down there. The tickets down there, or it was like $1,100. I think we had to pay because it was one way, because we already had the flights booked back through Delta. But anyway, no, this whole thing, what a debacle. So we get down to this first main road, and we have to take a left. And of course, I take a left because you can't, it's so hard to break out of it, onto the right side of the road. And a car's coming up, and he leans on the horn. I'm like, I'm so sorry. And my wife is like, you've got to pay it. I'm like, this is dangerous. This is not going to go well. Again, the foreshadowing, all the foreshadowing that's going on here. That's all the universe is telling me. Go back now. So, but no, we're going to keep going. And we're going, and, we're going up a hill, and you're going down a hill, and we wind up getting this car, like, right behind us. And I start to get to, like, the side to, like, let them pass, but they're not going to pass us. They don't pass there, and I don't know this. I'm just like, oh, don't let us slow you down. And I got a little close to a telephone pole, and I was like, oh, dude, you're gonna hurt yourself. And all of a sudden, trying to get away from the telephone pole, I kind of went into a wobble, right? An oscillation. And so I'm trying to apply the brake. I'm trying to stop the bike. I'm probably doing, 30 miles an hour, 35 miles an hour. And I'm slowing down. I am clearly slowing down. And I'm getting slower and slower. And boom. I mean, I crash real hard. And the first words out of my mouth, I'm pretty sure were, I broke my leg. pretty sure that's the first thing. And this woman came over to me and she said, are you okay? And I said, no, I'm not. I need help. She said, okay. And she got on the horn. And this guy showed up. He wasn't in uniform, but he clearly had some training, because he called in and, he was like, how old are you? And he's talking to them, and he's like, yeah, we have a white male, age, 30 something with, what appears to be lower he was talking the clinical talk, And I'm on the ground, and that sun, it is like 11 a.m., right? This is our vacation, right? The night before, getting the bathing suit, going to dinner, and now it's about less than an hour into our trip, 20 minutes into our trip, I wrecked the bike, right? That sun is coming overhead. Oh my God. Because now there's a crowd growing, he had people come up and stand over me. And block the sun out from cooking me like a friggin' egg on the sidewalk. And ambulance showed up, and they get me in the ambulance. My leg is bent, and they want to straighten it out, but I'm like, I can't. It's too painful. And they're like, all right, and they keep it bent, and they get me in the back, and we have a very smooth ride in the ambulance over to the emergency room. I sort of go in a holding pen, and they got my head in a full brace. I'm like sweating my ass off. I pull that thing off. I'm like, this God, my neck is fine. It's my friggin' leg. And I can see, right, because now you're in the emergency ward, I can see a girl down at the end of the hall sitting on a gurney. And she's got a cut across the top of her, I swear, like the whole top of her head. Just cut right open. I don't know what the hell happened there, but she was going to need some stitches. And the things you remember. And I'm waiting to go into X-ray. And they come in, and the nurse brings me into X-ray, and she takes a couple of shots of it, and they're clearly done. And I go, so is it, my wife didn't crash her bike. She was fine. She just watched in horror as I crashed mine. My wife did not get hurt. And of course, she's pregnant. We shouldn't have even been on them, okay? She was already like 2 or 3 months pregnant. It's stupid to even rent these things, right? But anyway, now I'm in the hospital, and so I say to her, I go, so is my leg broken? And she goes, oh yeah. Just her response. I go, so it's probably broken. She goes, oh, it's broken. And I'm like, all right, okay. She goes, but I'll let the doctor talk to you. I said, okay, right. And you got to remember that this is a British Isle, right? So you got either an Irish or an English accent, Scottish, right? And but my doctor comes in. The doctor comes in to see me. He's an American. He's like, hey, you got a pretty serious break. He's like, the type of break that will need surgery. He goes, if we did the work here, he's like, you're going to need probably 12 to 24 months of follow-up. And no doctor wants to follow up the work of another doctor. If I were you, we can stabilize you. You have no internal bleeding. From what he goes, do you have any other problem? I said, no, it's just my leg. He goes, you don't seem to be internally bleeding. Everything, you don't seem to have any nerve damage or anything like that. Let's get you back to Boston. There's plenty of hospitals in Boston. Let's get you back up to Boston on the next available flight. And you should get this, seen by a doctor in Boston. And it's actually really great advice, quite frankly. Really, really good advice. So, we wind up agreeing to that. My wife is going to she's going to go back to the hotel and try and get us on the next flight, which she's able to do because Delta bumped 2 people off. Maybe they offered them some extra money to stick around. But basically, the flight was packed, and they pushed 2 people off that Saturday flight, right? It's Friday. Now I'm going to fly back on Saturday instead of Monday. So they opened 2 seats up for us. So, okay, we got that. And they put me in like a holding pen. What you realize is that hospitals admit people at the same friggin' time every day. It's between like 10 p.m. and 11 p.m., right? That's the time of admission. Because they get people to check out by 8 or 9 p.m. You see what I'm saying? It's like they have this whole system that I don't even realize. So, I break my leg at like noon. They throw me in this holding pen with a bunch of vital, measurements on me. So if I have a heart attack or I just croak, an alarm will go off, basically. For hour after hour after hour. I'm hearing people come and go. I heard this whole family come in. The father had a heart attack, and they don't think it was a heart attack, and the kids are arguing with the father, and I'm just sitting there listening to all this, and I'm like losing my goddamn. This is before cell phones with, anything, and I'm like losing my hour after hour, and I am losing. Finally, I start yelling, hello, man on gurney in here. What are we doing? What the hell is going on here? And the guy comes in, he's like, what? I go, yeah, what? What the hell is going on? What are we doing? It's like, I feel like I've been in here. What time is it? And he's like, it's 7 o'clock. I'm like, yeah, I got here at like noon. It's like, well, what are we doing? He goes, well, you're going to get checked into a room. You're going to be here for the night. And I'm like, what are we doing? Get me into a bed. It's like, I'm sitting in here. And he's like, yeah, there's a process. Okay. I literally had to wait there like 2 more friggin' hours, almost 3 more hours. Until finally this nurse came down and they had a cast, and she's like, we're going to straighten your leg out. Because my leg was still bent. And she does. She straightened, which I have to say, when she straightened it out, it was painful for a second, but it felt better after they straightened it out. It did feel better. So they straightened it out, and they put a Velcro cast on it. It's like steel and Velcro to keep my leg straight. And now they're finally going to move me to a bed. I'm like, Christ, thank you. Like I've been on this freaking gurney for like 10 hours. I'm freaking losing my mind here. And they bring me in, and just before I get out of there, I tell the guy there, I said, dude, I gotta piss so bad. And he's like, all right. He goes, here, just sit up on the edge and try and piss. So I'm sitting on the edge and I'm trying to pee, and I go, dude, I gotta stand up. He goes, if you stand up and you fall down, I had nothing to do with this. I'm like, I got you, but I gotta stand up to piss. And he's like, all right, do whatever you got to do. So he gives me this friggin' piss bottle, and I unload into that thing. I'm like, oh, thank God. And I hand it to him. He goes, holy shit. I go, what? He goes, that's 1,000 cc's of urine. I'm like, is that a lot? He goes, yeah. I'm like, yeah. I go, I don't know. He's like, that is unbelievable. And I'm like, I am a pea camel. So, anyway, they get me into bed. And of course I can't. He tells me I'm falling asleep, but I'm like awake the whole night. Because I'm telling you, I came in and saw you sleep. I'm like, I haven't slept all goddamn night. The worst night. Worst friggin' night ever. And, finally, the next day, they're gonna get me out of. They're gonna check me out, and just to even move my leg, he's got to move it. So if you move it fast, it just hurts so bad. Can't even move it. He's got to move it like so slow, just to even get me out of friggin' bed. It's just, oh my God, just a nightmare. So they're gonna take me to the airport. It's time to go. All right, no problem. So we get to downstairs, and right before I'm going to get in the ambulance, they're giving me like Dixie cups of pills. Take this with the water, take this, okay, and a shot, and they're giving me like blood who knows what they're giving me, but they are drugging me up something fierce before I leave to go for this fucking flight. I'm like, okay. And we take the ambulance over there, and I'm okay, but as my wife is wheeling me in, I start feeling nauseous, and I mean really nauseous. Because apparently they use morphine, and morphine is fine when you're sitting in a bed, but when you move around, it's known to make you sick. It's known to make you nauseous. And so I am like overwhelmingly have this, like, I've got to vomit so bad. So the only thing I have is this big manila envelope with my films in it. So I rip it open and I rip my film, right, my x-rays out of the thing, and I start throwing up into the manila envelope. Now, the story that is all over the news, the big story that week is SARS. SARS, okay? Everywhere. So I show up at customs, and I can't even go through regular customs. They're just like, go. I'm like, Aah! And they're like, just go, just get out of here. Just get out of here. I'm like, okay. And they wheel me out, and I get to the plane. Fuck. There's no jetway. You got to walk out to the tarmac and take a goddamn flight of stairs up. And there's no way I'm doing that. So they're like, no. We got a way. We're going to get you up there. And what they do is they put me up on the food service loading truck, because to load the food is so heavy, they can't carry it up the thing. They have a scissor, right, that goes up, that has a gate on both sides. So they load the food up on it. The scissor goes up, and it goes in a special door that the other passengers don't go through, right? It's like a service door. So they put me in the food scissor with a bunch of people. It's enormous. And they lift it up, and they get me up there. They get me to the scissor lift, and they get me up to the, again, it's not the passengers go in on the left side. I'm going in on the right side of the plane. I'm going on the other side. The passengers are going everywhere. So she goes, I'm the only one going in. No other passenger is in this flight yet. It's just me. And they're like, you can sit anywhere you want, any seat you want, except first class, because we sold one ticket, and part of what that guy buys is exclusivity away from other people. So unless you bought a first class ticket, we can't put you in first class. They're like, if he didn't buy that ticket, we would put you in first class. But unfortunately, we have one person who did buy a first class ticket, and therefore you can't be in first class. I said, I don't care. Whatever. So I get up to the, I basically take in the center, it's my right leg, I take this like 2 seats, maybe 2 seats or 4 seats, and then 2 seats, right? Probably 4 seats right in the middle. 2 seats, 4 seats, 2 seats. And I'm going to sit in that last seat in the aisle so that I can stretch my leg out into the aisle. And so I'm on the plane, and I sit down, and, they get me through. I stop throwing up. They get me up the scissor truck. I get inside. I hop my way down the aisle on one leg on the seats, get to my seat. I said, all right, I'm here. And I have to grab a sick bag, and I start throwing up again so bad. And those poor wait staff, the flight attendants are looking at each other going, no, it's great. You're going to be on the flight, huh? Great. And they load everybody up, and the pilot comes down to talk to me before they start loading people out. He goes, listen, looks like we're going to have a pretty clean flight. I'm going to try to do whatever I can to keep the plane from bouncing around, but there's only so much I can do. I said, no, I get that. And he said, well, we're going to get you up there. He goes, he goes, and what we're going to do is we're going to have you get off the flight before everybody else, and then we'll exit the plane after you exit. I said, whatever you think is the best. And he's like, yeah, that's what we're going to do. Okay. He goes, there'll be an ambulance waiting for you. We've already called ahead for an ambulance. Be an ambulance waiting for you. They'll meet us at the gate. You'll depart the plane. They'll empty the plane, and you'll be on your way. You'll get off first. Okay, whatever you think is the right. Okay. So they load the plane up, and he gets on the horn. He says, "Hey, the captain speaking. Well, we got a guy on a flight. He's got a broken leg, and it's still broken. He's flying back up to Boston to get it fixed. So he's up in the first row on the right side. Just please don't walk by him. If you're going to go to the bathroom, go to the one on the other side, and just don't walk near the guy." And the people who were sitting next to me, I said, "Listen, I don't want to scare you, but 20 minutes before you got on this flight, I was throwing up pretty hard. Now, I feel okay now, but no promise." They're still like, "We're good. Don't worry about it." I'm like, I was just feeling so bad, So we take off. It is the quietest flight I think I have ever been on. That pilot touchdown, it was the best landing I have ever been. I mean, he touched down so soft. It was like, oh my God, guy's a goddamn poet. So we're waiting there, and take your seatbelt off light. The seatbelt light goes out, and they're all waiting, and the ambulance isn't there. So the flight attendant comes down. She goes, "Oh, we're still waiting on the ambulance." I go, "Well, empty the plane. What are you doing? Don't wait for me. Who knows when this guy's going to show up?" And they're like, okay. And so they just have everybody go out that other aisle instead of my aisle. They force everybody to walk over. And everybody's going, "Good luck, good luck." Everybody's going, "Oh, good luck, good luck, good luck." I'm like, okay. So we're waiting. This ambulance is taking like friggin' forever. Thank God we let those people off the flight. Holy shit, those poor people, And they send down a Delta representative. It's Diane. She comes in. I go, "Oh my God, you're the woman from the Costa Rica flight." She goes, "Oh my God." And she goes, I go, "Remember when we had to book another flight?" She goes, "Yeah." I go, "This was the flight." She's like, "Oh no," and I got a broken leg. She's like, "Oh my God." Oh, I know, right? She cannot believe it. She's like, this is all your fault, Diane." Exactly. So we're waiting, and finally, the friggin' ambulance, it was like 30 minutes late, and they can't get me off the plane. The poor people waiting to take the next flight. So I hobble out, and they get me on a gurney on the jetway. You know what I'm saying? Like, I said, "Let me get out." They wanted to try and get the gurney in. The plane was so small. "Let me get out. I'll hobble out. I'll get right out here." And then they, I forget if they wheeled me up. I think they got me right on a gurney. And they get me up, and they got a state trooper and 2 EMTs. And they're like walking me out of the flight. And all the wrangling around, getting up and getting on it, I get to the top, and we just start leaving the flight. We're still in the gate, and I start throwing up again. And again, all plastered all over all the TVs is SARS outbreak, right? And here I am throwing up, and I mean vomiting so bad. So finally, I'm trying to calm down. I calm down like right before the ambulance. I get me in the ambulance. They strap me in. And this is the worst goddamn ambulance ride you could possibly. It's like if there was a pothole, he hit it. I mean, we were hitting boom, 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 boom. I mean, compared to the 2 ambulance rides I had in Bermuda, okay, I am going, and I'm getting more and more nauseous. I'm getting jostled around. There's a guy back there doing all the same stuff they always do. How old are you? What are your allergies? He's trying to keep you talking, trying to go. And I am like losing it. I am like almost delirious. I am so nauseous. We finally get out. We get to Mass General. I'm going to Mass General, which that week had been rated by U.S. News and World Report as best orthopedic surgery in the world. So I felt like it's probably pretty good. And what's up with the trailer? No work this week, and no Vola yet. It's raining. There's going to be no trailer work until the rain can stop, and rain is predicted for the next 2 weeks minimum. So I get into the main waiting room, and they have me off to the side, and I start getting nauseous again, and I start throwing up again, and it is bad, and it's going on, and it's kind of like the dry. I mean, I got nothing in my cells, dry heaves, and finally this guy jumps up and goes, "Is anybody helping?" Guy who worked for the hospital. "Is there anybody helping this guy? I can't take this. I can't listen to this." And finally, they sort of snap out of their trance. It's what's wrong? What's wrong? Everything okay? And I'm like, I'm nauseous. I don't know what to tell you. Well, we'll move you out of here. They basically wheeled me away from him, like and around to another section. So if I got sick again, I wouldn't bother him. And they got me down. Now I'm in this kind of like a corral, but I'm not quite in it. I'm kind of like at the edge of it, and then they've got like another like little corral that they can put one in, and they've got like basically a sheet in between, and so there's somebody in the sort of like the corral next to me, and someone next to them, and someone next to them, and so forth, right? And we're all waiting to go through emergency, and I forget. I get so many people coming up to me, so many doctors going like, "You got a pretty serious break right there." I'm like, "Yeah, it's overheard. You're like the fifth doctor who's used that exact phrase." One doctor wanted to know if the bone was literally coming out of the side of my leg. I said, "I don't think so." He's like, all right. He goes, this is a really serious break. I said, I know. I know about the serious break. Do I have a... No. Yeah. There it is. It's a little on the smashed side. And then I got another one here. Hold on. Right there. I literally sheared the whole back of it, just like completely off. Now, you can see the front's broken. It's pretty bad. And then, so there's this woman next to me, and she's like going like, and I am in no mood. And this is going on, like no one's like gonna like help her or something, like. At one point, I finally go, "Oh, will you shut the fuck up? Everybody in this whole fucking place is hurting, not just you." And that perked a bunch of people up. And they come over, the guy comes over to her and goes like, what? She's like, "No one's helping me." And he's like, "Yeah, you're fine. Hold on. Oh my God, I am like friggin' losing it. So the doctor comes up to me and he says, "This is broken. We got to put you in for a CT scan." And he goes, "You're going to have to go in for a CAT scan, CT scan." I said, "Okay." And they're just waiting to book me to go in, right? They have to book it. So I'm sitting there and I'm just about to go in, And a nurse looks at me and she goes, "Are you okay?" I go, "To be honest, I'm going to be nauseous. I'm going to start throwing up again." She ran over to that counter like a friggin' magician, right into my arm. She goes, "See if that helps." Okay. And I get into the CT scan. And, it takes a minute for them to get you in the right place and to get your leg just right, to position the camera. And as these minutes are going by, I'm like feeling better. Like every couple of minutes that go by and this a little bit more, I'm feeling a little bit better and a little bit better. And I'm telling you, it's that friggin' shot she gave me. And at one point, I like crack a joke. This is like the happiest like I've been in probably 2 days. Just like, right? Just haven't had that nauseous feeling, just so bad, or at least 24 hours. And so I come out of the CT scan, and my family all said to me, "Oh my God, you look so much better," because I had more color in my face. Right, I had no color in my face because I was so nauseous. And they're like, "You look so much better." I'm like, "I feel better." I don't know what she gave me in that shot, Dramamine or some shit. Probably Dramamine, right? Some anti-nausea. It's like an anti-nausea shot. I didn't even know that existed. I was like, "Oh my God, this is the best." So they're going to do the surgery Sunday morning, and then the doctor comes to me and he says, "We want to look at it more closely. We almost never go through the back of the leg, but in your case, I think we have to. We have to take what was called a posterior approach." He was Irish. And I was like, "Okay." And he said, "So to do that," he's like, "You've got to, it's a lot more careful because you can," and as it was, he cut through a nerve and I have like a huge patch of like dead back there. So he was right. It is fraught with problems. So they're going to do it Monday morning instead of Sunday. So I'm stuck in the hospital, and the guy I got next to me, because I don't have a private room, what a colossal douchebag. He's in there for knee surgery. It's like hot and humid out, and I'm like, "God," I go, "this room is so humid." He's like, "Oh, I got the window open." I'm like, "Why? It's humid out." He's like, "Oh, I like the fresh air." I go, "That air isn't fresh." God, I am clashing with this dude like day one. What a douche. And I just could not wait for him. And he was gone. He was gone after like one day. He was gone. My parents came in. I go, "Close that window," which they did. I had the nurse turn the air conditioning way up. I had them close the door. It's too noisy. I had all kinds of rules. And sure enough, at first I didn't have someone next to me, but a kid came in like late the next night. They admit people at 11 p.m. So that guy checked out the next morning. I had nobody all day. But that night, a new kid came in, Russian kid, American kid, who's Russian, who was visiting Russia, who stayed too late in a bar one night, got jumped when he left the bar, and got his jaw broken. And they were pretty well off, and they didn't want to, they probably saw the U.S. News and World Report. They didn't want to go to a Russian hospital to have his jaw fixed. And they flew to Boston and had his jaw fixed at Mass General. And so I felt bad for him. He couldn't really talk as well. His mouth was all wired shut, and he was on a special machine that if he moved a certain way, an alarm went off. I felt bad for that kid. He was in tough shape. But so I had him for like the next 3 days or 4 days, and then I had a dude after that who had, I think, a broken bone from like diabetes, and he was all screwed up. He was in trouble too. Anyway, we finally I get through Sunday, and my leg is actually feeling better. I remember getting up and going to the bathroom and hobbling in there and peeing and coming back, and I was like, yeah, I swear to God, my leg's feeling better. They get you up the next morning at like 5 a.m., 4 a.m. really. It's like a 6 a.m. surgery or 5 a.m. surgery. Get me up at like 5. They get me down there, and I'm going through, and my anesthesiologist was like gorgeous. I'm like, holy shit, you could be like an actress. Like you are stunningly beautiful. It's like, and you're the anesthesiologist. I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, holy shit. So, she gets the mask on me, and she has me, count back, and boom, I'm out. I wake up, and I'm in a holding pen after the surgery, right? You dry as fuck because you've had a big tube down your mouth for the last, I think it was a 3-hour surgery. Right, and they got a big friggin' tube down your mouth, so you're all dry. You're like, and they won't give you anything to drink. It sucks. They give you ice chips. You chew on ice chips to keep you right, because you can't really drink the water that fast. They don't want you filling up with water. And I got a friggin' cathode in my dick, right, up in my bladder, because you can't get up to pee any longer. You just had surgery, and it pretty much felt like I had been hit by a Mack truck. Like, it is like the worst coming out of that surgery. So, that's Monday. Tuesday comes, and I remember my doctor coming in, and at one point, his foot gets caught on the bag from that cathode coming out of my dick. And I'm like, dude! Like, stuck on his foot. I'm like, you're dragging that cathode. What are you doing? Like the worst. And you're right, and you've got a what is that? It's a catheter, right? You got a catheter in it, in you. So, right. So I'm like, just watch out for my piss bag at the bottom of my bed. Thank you. Are you a doctor or what? So I am in no mood. I am like miserable. And what happens is they give you like, oxycodone or something like that, right? They give you this heavy narcotic. And for me, it made me very emotional and weepy and like, no control over it. Like just getting upset for like no reason. I thought, what the fuck is wrong with me? You know what I'm saying? It's like, but your mind is like playing tricks on you, and it makes you sweat, getting all sweaty and hot. And I'm like, I can't dry down, and I hate everybody. And I'm talking to the nurse, and the nurse is buying a house. She's talking about title insurance. And I'm trying to give her advice on title insurance. At one point, she comes in, and I'm like weepy. She's like, "You okay?" I'm like, "I'm fine. Buy that title insurance." Like, I'm out of it. I'm freaking out of it. So bad. And so they get this is like Wednesday is like my worst day. I am just miserable. Can't eat. They got a machine on my leg, right? Your leg is, it's like this, so I got, right, there's your knee. They got a machine, and they're going like this, right? It's pushing my leg. Remember, I broke it at the knee, and they're like, if we don't do this, it's just going to stiffen up. So they're forcing me, and of course, this is like constant pain, as they're just like, you got to move your leg, and it moves it for you, right? It's a passive machine. Plus, they're all upset that I took a commercial flight, and they think I'm going to get a blood clot. So they're filling me with blood thinners, and they've got this big boot on my other leg to constantly squeeze the blood out of my other leg, right? I mean, it's this Wednesday. I'm at like rock bottom, right? This is like my worst day by far. And then what happened is a buddy of mine, he's actually passed away now, brought me a little fan, a little clip-on fan that plugged into the wall. And when I would get the hots, when I would get the sweats, I would turn that fan on and the relief would be instant. That was a game changer. And earplugs, so I could sleep at night. That Thursday night was the best sleep. That Thursday and a Friday was the best sleep I had had in the whole time I had been there, because I was wearing earplugs. You know, the earplugs were really helping. And and the fan, between the earplugs and the fan, like my standard of living, you know, my standard of being is already up. So Thursday comes, and now they want me to stand up. And they want me to walk around the room. And I'm like, you are insane. And they're like, no, you can do it. Come on, stand up. And I stand up. I start falling over. I'm going, I'm falling. And they got this huge nurse there who's so strong, grabs me, and he's trying to get me over to the chair. He gets me into the chair. And the nurse is going, are you okay? And I go, I am passing out. And she goes, get into bed. Can you get into bed? And I was like, yeah, because they have me on a walker. They want me to walk around. And I'm like, I can't do this. They get me up in a bed, and they will sort of look at each other like, okay, well, he probably wasn't ready for that yet. And I'm like, yeah, I'm telling you right now, my injury's pretty bad. So, cut to the next day after that. I think this was Friday. It was either Thursday or Friday. I forget now. Yeah, Wednesday might have been the day where they were having me walk around and I almost fell. Thursday, these two, pretty smoking hot nurses show up. And they're like, oh, hey, how's it going? I'm like, good. They're like, yeah. I'm like, what's up? And they're like, we're here to take your catheter out. I'm going to take it out, and she's training. I'm like, great. And while you're at it, here is my dignity. Let's just get rid of that. So I am just like, you know, great. And the other thing is that, you know, when you're under when your body is in a catastrophic state, okay, and you've got like all this stuff going on, the last thing your penis does is do anything, okay? It kind of shrinks down to the world's smallest size you've ever had in your entire life, all right? It's practically, it's like a fucking egg in an Easter basket, okay? You're down to your pubic hairs exceed the length of your penis at that point, okay? So you got nothing. Nothing. And it is just the worst ever. And I'm like, no, go ahead. So she's like literally explaining. So first thing we have to do is we have to drain out the bladder that's up in his bladder. So she has to open this thing up. That's why the doctor couldn't pull it out. They inflate a bladder of water, like up in my bladder. So she releases the water out, and you can see the water come out. I'm like, shit, so there's a bladder in my bladder? Yup. And so she releases that, and she goes, okay, you ready? 3, 2, 1. And I'm like, you know, it's, I guess it's about the equivalent of passing a kidney stone. And then it comes out. And then she basically says to me, no pressure, but if you don't urinate in the next 24 hours, it's going back in. And I'm like, and this time you won't be like passed out like you were when we put it in the first time. First time we put it in, you were knocked out cold. Second time, you'll be fully awake. So I'm like, oh yeah, no pressure. No pressure. So I am, they leave a piss bottle next to my bed. And I cannot, I don't know. At this point, like hours are going by, I don't have to pee. I kind of feel like I have to pee, but I can't pee. It's like, am I peeing? Do I have to pee? Is this just the catheter coming out? I don't know. You know, your mind's playing tricks on you. You know, you're laying there. And I just remember I just remember that Russian family, that Russian kid. His mother showed up. His family showed up. And they were there, and I had the blankets in such a way you really couldn't see like what I had going on there. And I must have been asleep, and I remember waking up going, must pee now. Grabbing that thing, and so relieved that I was actually able to urinate into it. Like, just the relief of that, so I could say, look, I peed. I damn near filled the thing. Another 1,000 cc's. And as I'm going, the mom walks in. Hello? I'm like, hey, don't mind me. I'm just pissing here in bed. And the nurse was really happy. I still hadn't taken a shit, and they were getting worried. They were getting really worried because you'll get septic, you'll get toxic. Like I hadn't, right? It's Friday. The last time I had taken a shit was like the Thursday prior, right? We're going on like my 9th day, 10th day. You'll get septic. You'll have a whole world of hurt you never even thought about before that. So, sure enough, they get the catheter out, and then they finally bring me to a stairwell. And I have to prove I can go up and down the stairs. And I'm going, you have got to be shitting me. First of all, we need to get another nurse here, like the size of that other nurse, because I think if I fall, you girls can't even pick me up. And they're like, oh, no, you'll be fine. This one chick was like so friggin', she's like, nah, so cavalier. Nah, you're fine. Okay. So I sort of, I do it. I'm actually able to go on the stairs and go down the stairs, and they wheel me back into the room, and I burst into tears. I remember that one girl, she was tearing up too. That was a tough day. That was a real tough day. But I got checked out a couple days later, and they finally sent me home. And as we're driving in the car, I'm like crying. I don't know what's going on. I'm bawling. And I'm telling you, it's the drugs. It's the drugs. And because as soon as I went off from that, I stopped. And we get to my house, and my wife pulls like right up to the front. So all I have to do is open the passenger door and walk up the walkway. It's like 4 or 5 stairs, and they have a chair waiting for me right inside the door. So I have crutches, I think. I have crutches. And I make my way up the walkway, up the stairs, and I am like losing it. And I barely make it to the chair. And they're like, what's wrong? And I go, I'm passing out. And instinctually, when you start to pass out, you want to crawl down to the floor forward because you're worried about, you don't want to lean back. They're trying to push me back in the chair, but you're already starting to lose consciousness, and instinctually, you don't want to fall back and break your head. You want to lean forward and crawl. You want to crawl down to the floor. So I start leaning forward, and they're pushing me. They're like, no, push back. And they finally get me back in the chair. And my eyes roll in the back of my head, and my wife calls 911. And they show up. 2 big dudes from the fire department. And I'm sort of coming around when they get there. I'm sort of waking up a little bit. But he puts an oxygen sensor on my finger. And they don't say anything, but at one point I see him like elbow his friend and like point to my the number, like something's up here, you know. So my wife's like, my mother goes, my mother, my father, my wife are all there, and my mother goes, you're gonna have to get him over to the bed. And I remember the dude from the fire department saying, the firefighter saying, no, that bed's on wheels, so we're gonna wheel the bed over to him. And they did. They wheeled the bed over to me. They already had a hospital bed in the house waiting for me, a traction bed, and then they wheeled me back over into the living room. And it started pretty much a years-long process of therapy. For the next month, I had a daily nurse come by, and I had road rash so bad they had to keep dressing the road rash up on the side of my leg. And of course, I'm still completely clueless about how bad my leg is, like just how bad the problem is. And so at one point, the nurse is looking at it and she goes, you know, it looks like bruised, but I just think that that's normal because you just had surgery. She said, but basically, you know, the scar looks good. And I'm like, oh, is there a scar on the back of my leg? She gives me a look like, well, yeah, that's the scar. Because there's these sutures on the front of my leg, and I'm thinking they went in all arthroscopically. I'm like, well, how big is the scar? She's like, I don't know, it's like this big. I go, get out of here with that. She goes, no, there it is. She goes, it goes down from the back of your thigh, over the back of your knee, and then down the back of your calf. I was like, go get me my digital camera. Go get my camera on the kitchen table. And I remember taking a picture of that. Holy shit, what an epiphany. I was like, oh my God. I had no idea that. Holy shit. She's like, yeah, you just came out of major surgery. They can't do this kind of work in there without filleting you open to get in there. I was like, oh my God. I had no idea. That's the hardware they put in. Right there. It's 15 pins and 2 plates. That's how they screwed Humpty Dumpty back together again. Like the first day of maybe it was like Monday. No, I think it was Tuesday after the surgery. Boston University showed up at my bedside at Mass General. They're like, oh, we heard you had a catastrophic leg injury. They were doing all this research on catastrophic leg injuries. So they followed me for 2 years. Boston University came to my house, would pay me. They were paying me to like answer a bunch of questions and go through a bunch of stuff, and it was crazy. What's interesting is that they kept drawing marks on my foot, like these little X's. And I'm like, so what's that for? Like where a vein is? They're like, no, it's where we touch your foot to see if we have feeling. And you've told us you've had feeling. And then we always check that same spot to see if you've lost feeling. I'm like, oh, okay, there you go. That's pretty smart. So remember when I said I got on my wife's insurance? Well, they weren't so sure about that. And they thought because I arrived to Mass General by ambulance that I had been in a car accident. And so because I had not submitted any accident claim, they billed me. Mass General sent a bill to my house for the surgery, for the week, 8 days in the hospital, and the surgery. And was it 8 days? Let me see. I got this Saturday. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah, Saturday, 8 days. $69,000. The surgery itself was about $39,000, and then it was about $30,000 for the stay, and all the incidentals outside of that. So what wound up happening is I just had to talk to them and say, I crashed a moped in Bermuda. And they were like, oh, yeah, okay. I go, so if you want to go chase some insurance company down in Bermuda, but that raises all kinds of jurisdiction issues, they're like, no, we'll do it. And they just paid for it through my health insurance, which I had full health insurance that covered it. And oh my God, I had to go to all this physical therapy. Right before I got in the ambulance to go to the airport, they had to cut the clothes off me, when I first got there, and they had me in a basically a sheet, right? They put you in a friggin' hospital gown. And, but now I'm wearing that leg cast. And so I'm like, how am I going to get through the airport? I need something to wear. And the only thing that would fit over the cast was my new bathing suit. I remember at one point, they were wheeling me out in the wheelchair. I said to my wife, well, I'm wearing the bathing suit. She goes, I know. She's like crying, I know. Stories that happened that week. You remember so much. There was a girl in Boston who was hit by a stray bullet, a little 3-year-old, and got a spinal injury, lost the use of her legs. Yeah, there was a story of a woman in Texas who had hit a homeless man with a car. He was still alive, but she didn't want to report him and get in trouble. So she left him embedded in her windshield, and he died after a period of weeks. It was horrific. Look it up. It happened that week. The Red Sox beat, was it the Orioles? I forget who it was, but they beat some team 19 to something. It was a crazy run-up of the score, and Grady Little came out and apologized for it. The things you remember all that week. And the Tour de France was going on, and a guy took a corner and broke his leg. And I definitely remember that. Felt like I could really relate. Yep, dude in the garage stuck in the window, right? Yeah, no, I'm telling you, I remember that. You can't, all those stories, you just can't, I don't know what it is, but it's just that whole week. Everything that happened that week that it was on TV, I can sort of remember it. It's kind of weird. The guys from Queer Eye with the Straight Guy showed up on one of the morning shows, Today or Good Morning America or something like that. It was their first appearance. They had launched a new show called, it was a summer show that they had started called, was it The Great Race or where they do the race across the world? The Amazing Race. That debuted. I'm telling you, you remember things. They announced the Emmy Awards. I want to say it was the lead from the TV show Rock and Jane Kasmerick were the people that read the nominees. Holy shit. The level of detail you can remember. It's just, it's insane. Anyway, things did slowly get better, but, I couldn't take a bath. I couldn't take a shower in the shower for a month. That sucked. I was like, you have some of the best things you'll ever in your life, but they're very mundane. But because you've just missed them so much, Like you have this terrible cheeseburger, but you're like, this is the best cheeseburger I've ever had in my goddamn life, because you miss it, right? You haven't had it for so long, right? You're just so out of it. I remember having what was it? It was like a salad or something. I'm like, this is the best salad ever. The other thing that happened is when I was laying in bed, at one point I got up and I wrenched my back. I swear to God, that back pain was worse than my friggin' leg. That was the worst ever. Could barely breathe. Oh my God, that was so bad. That was the worst. That was one of the worst aspects of the whole thing. Oh, I had to take blood thinners, which I had to shoot into my stomach every night for like 2 months. Every night before bed. And you don't really shoot it in your stomach, you shoot it in the fat in your belly. So it has to be shot into fat. So you shoot it into your stomach like every night. Yeah. Anyway, this is what I remember this time of year every year, which is why I hate this time of year every year. All I can think of is the bad times. No good times. No good times came from this. So anyway, I'm sure I am missing countless details that I'm sure I could conjure back, but that's the general gist of it. And it was never the same. I limped for a good 3 years minimum, really more like 5 years. I had a really bad limp. The first 3 years were just god-awful. And I still limp, really. You know, especially if I go a long day, like at NAMM or something like that, I really start to drag that leg something terrible. It's never really gone. My meniscus was completely torn out. They had to sew it all back in again. Those were the stitches I saw up front. They were sewing the meniscus back in. You know, which is the pad between your femur and your tibia. Yeah, it's all in the past. God, it was such a shit. The only good thing that came from that year was my daughter was born at the end of the year, right? So things got better at the end of the year, much better. But yeah, that was just such a shit year. Just the worst. It started out great. It got really bad. I remember just couldn't wait till I passed 100 days past it, counting down to it, and thinking I was going to be feeling so much better, and I just wasn't. I was on crutches for 6 months, and I was on a cane for a good year after that. I couldn't walk without a cane. But then what happens is you start to walk with the cane and you forget the cane, and you realize you don't really need it, right? Once you start leaving the cane and forgetting it about, you realize you don't even need it. But yeah, God, what a horrible, horrible thing. I think I was in physical therapy through I want to say October or something like that. Then that ran out. And, yeah, God. The only one that, I went to the doctor for another year, and I think BU followed me for 2 years. And then that was it. It was good. So the hospital food was pretty bad. I remember when I first got there, I got a burger, and it was a terrible burger in every respect. But I was so hungry. It was awesome. Again, it's all relative, right? You're just so hungry. You're like, this is the best burger I've ever had in my life. I remember after the surgery, you just have no appetite. And I think it was that Wednesday, I was so miserable. I spent most of my day filling out that stupid friggin' food sheet, which was enormous. And I just ordered this salad, a strawberry salad, and it showed up. And I can't even make this up. One side of it was just completely covered in mold. And I'm like, who the fuck throws this on a tray and walks it up here and doesn't even notice that? How does this even happen? So she's like, oh, you're not hungry? And I go, take a look at it. She goes, oh my God, you want me to get you another salad? And I'm like, no, I don't. I'm good. I don't want anything. I'm good. completely half moldy. God, it was the worst. So anyway, we made it through. We had the baby, and eventually, I tell you, I knew when it was good. I hit a bee's nest out in the yard about 2 years later, and that was the first time I had ran since breaking it. Got me the hell out of there. All right, dudes. It's 9:15. I should call it a night. This story could go on for 2 more days. My younger brother broke his femur his freshman year in traction, sent me body cast for 3 months. Yeah. Dude was a poor kid, a couple doors down from me. And he had not just a broken leg, but a broken arm. It's a lot harder when you have a broken arm because you really can't move. It's hard to lift yourself around, much, much harder. That's the best thing that ever happened. I didn't have I had use of both of my upper body limbs. Crazy. The last day, I want to say it was Friday, I think. They had some dude who was involved in a high-speed car chase. And he got a car, he rolled the car or something like that, and then a broken bone or a few broken bones. So they had him in the orthopedic ward. He was in the room next to mine. You could hear him in there. They had a bunch of state police out there with him. It's crazy. You can hear him in there. Yeah, I don't care. Oh, God. That dude. All right, dudes. So that's my leg break story. It starts in February and it ends in, 2 years after June. And, yeah, God, that's the summer. The shit summer. Just horrible. Just horrible. Anyway, there you go. The only good thing is, I remember we had a mouse. This mouse going crazy. And my cat was getting old. Wasn't mousing. And I put some mouse traps out. We caught him. A buddy of mine, I couldn't get out of bed to get the mouse out of the trap, but a buddy of mine came over, and he's also passed away now. God, all my friends are dead. And he got him. He got that friggin' mouse. I was pretty happy about it. Hold on. There we go. All right, dudes. You rock. There you go. That's 90% of the story, maybe 85%. There you go. No, you rock. Now I'm off to go, find some dinner, I guess. I know. Well, the other thing that's not only just careful going up the stairs, but what you wind up doing is you don't use the stairs on your right leg. You only use the stairs on your left leg, so you go one leg, right? You don't go leg over leg, up and down, but sometimes you do. And what happens is my left hip is degenerating because I've put so much use on my left side instead of my right side because of the leg, because of the knee. So eventually you're wearing something out. There you go. All right, dudes. Have a good one. You rock. Thanks to everybody for hanging out. Super extra thanks to anyone who contributed. And, of course, a brofist to me Mod Squad. Hashtag a brofist. Hashtag Mod Squad. And we'll do it all again in a week. And there you go. What is that? That's the condenser draining. It's so humid in here. Freaking dying. All right, guys. You rock. We'll see you in a week. Have a wonderful week. Maybe those Volos will show up this week, but I don't know. We'll see. Haven't got a tracking number yet. All right, guys. Later.